What I want to share with you guys tonight is we need to take back government. We have to take back government. It doesn't matter if we get one or two good elected officials in there. We can see everything with President Trump is being undone in the first week of the new administration. Much of it's being undone. I've written a few posts about this. There's no knight in shining armor. There is nobody that is going, no one person is going to come to save this republic. If we want to put an end to the rampant corruption in government or restore the principles that this government was founded on, we're going to have to start stepping up and performing our civic duty. I mean, even if you elect me, my work will be wiped out as Tennessee governor within a short time, except for some things that I will make permanent, like judges not holding prohibited offices. It is the people, and it is only the people who have the power to stand up and defend the republic and the principles that this republic was founded on. I'm going to try to keep up with questions on here. So if you guys ask questions, drop them in comments here, and I'll try to answer them as I see them or as I finish a point. So we have to start performing our civic duty. And civic duty is not just getting out and voting, once a year or every election. And if we don't take up the duty of or if we don't take up our civic duty, we can just expect more of the same: rampant corruption in government, the continued pretended legislation that goes on. So we're going to have to step up, or we're just going to have more of the same. So number one is you have to read and then understand the Constitution. The Constitution establishes our form of government, and there are many parts to the form of government that is established in our state and federal constitutions. Yes, it has an executive branch, judicial branch, and a legislative branch with two houses. Absolutely fundamental. We know that's our form of government, but there are many other parts to our form of government. For example, judges in the Tennessee Constitution are expressly prohibited from holding a second office of trust. And that is presently violated blatantly, openly. They don't care. The General Assembly established the Tennessee Board of Judicial Conduct and comprised that agency of judges overseeing judges. And it's not working. That agency has never once recommended removal or impeachment. I've testified in federal court. They're criminals protecting criminals. There's a reason. Why do you think the founders put in the Tennessee Constitution that no judge shall hold any other office of trust? Why did they put that in there? It was to prevent British style corruption. That's why they put that in there. That is part of our form of government. If you don't understand the Tennessee Constitution and the form of government that was established in it, how can you defend it? So that's action item number one, is for you guys that are watching this, is read the Tennessee Constitution. It's written in layman terms. You do not have to be an attorney. It is common sense, the way that the founders drafted and set forth the Tennessee Constitution. It's very easy to read, very easy to read and understand. Some of the stuff you have to get a little research and do historical background. What did they mean by it? Like the right of remonstrance that's in our Tennessee Declaration of Rights, Article 1, Section 23. We have a right to petition for redress of grievance or other proper purpose by address or remonstrance. Nobody knows what that means until I started doing my work and starting to make this public knowledge. So you'll have to do a little research. Then I want you to teach your children. So read the Constitution, the Tennessee Constitution, read it. I'm gonna share my screen here with you, and I'll show you real quick, And I'll drop a link in comments so you guys can see where to get the Tennessee Constitution at. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to the Tennessee General Assembly website here. You can also get a copy off the Secretary of State website. But if you scroll down here to the bottom, very bottom, it says site map. You click on that, and right there is the Tennessee Constitution, and it's going to bring up a link to this document, and it'll bring up a PDF version of the Tennessee Constitution. Just as a side note, if we go to Article 1, Section 23, let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, almost there. Okay. This in the Secretary of State and General Assembly website, it says on the PDF version, it says by address of remonstrance. That's false. I've been arguing in this court. It is admitted. It says by address or remonstrance. We have a choice. We can choose to address them orally. Sit down. I got something to say. I have a grievance, or I have a proper purpose. I want to make a suggestion. We can orally, we have a constitutional right to orally address government, or we can remonstrate. I'm still working on getting that fixed. Let me get back, get off the screen share here. And I'm going to drop that link in here into comments, so you guys can see or click on that link and get a copy of the Tennessee Constitution for yourself. So, all right. So I just dropped that in. I just dropped that into comments. So you have to read the Tennessee Constitution. If you want to be a citizen, you need to understand what your form of government is. You need to learn to understand. If you don't understand something, Google it. Look in the Tennessee archives. Everything is out there. I've been able to find anything I want to know about the Tennessee Constitution and start teaching it to your children. Your children are the ones that are going to pay the price for our ignorance and our parents' ignorance that has allowed our form of government to be unlawfully altered. So teach your children. Don't rely, the schools do not teach the Tennessee Constitution at all. Our law schools in Tennessee do not teach the Tennessee Constitution. The attorneys out there do not know the Tennessee Constitution hardly at all. They just know statutory law. So that's the first action item. If you want to be a citizen, is read the Constitution, understand the Tennessee Constitution, and teach it to your children. For those items where government is openly violating the Constitution, like judges holding prohibited offices, demand reform. Call your senator, call your representative, email them. You can go to the General Assembly website, find out who your senator is, and I'll go into that in a second here. Demand that they uphold their oath to support the Constitution, and that these judges holding prohibited offices and the usurpation by the judiciary of legislative power to oversee judges is the root of the problem of most everything that has gone wrong in our government. So we have to, when we know that government is violating the Constitution, we have to stand up. Another thing as a civic duty is research the candidates. Stop voting just based on party. I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm a Republican, so I'm going to vote Republican. Stop doing that. Start performing your civic duty and research these candidates. Find out what they're about. I'm going to share my screen here again. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Research your candidates. They don't want you to see this stuff, but if you go to the Tennessee General Assembly website, and that's capitaltn.gov, www.capital.tn.gov. This is the Tennessee General Assembly website. So go to legislators, and you can find your legislator. There's a link right here. Find my legislator. Last item on the right underneath legislators. Find your legislator. You type in your address. You'll see who your senator or your representative is. If you don't know who they are, you need to know who they are. And then you can go to members of the Senate, members of the House. So let's go to, well, I'm just going to give an example. Go to my senator, Senator Hale, who beat me in the election for state senate. Let's go look at his. So this is his page. Now, when I'm talking about researching these guys, I want you to really research them. So go to bills that he's sponsoring and look at, so you can see these are all 113, 114, 114. These are all bills that he sponsored. And so you can look at these descriptions really don't tell, you know, what the bill is actually about. And just go through these bills and see, is he doing? Now, when I say go through the bill, I'm saying click on the bill, bring it over here, look at it. Now, this just has a caption. Very often, these captions are deceiving about what the bill is actually about. Come in here and click on, you can click on, this is kind of deceitful, I think, of the General Assembly website, is if you want to see the actual bill, it's like, where do I go for it? Where's the actual bill? Well, you click on this. I had to call up the clerk. I was like, how do I see the bill? And they're like, oh, you click on this title right up here. And then that brings up the PDF. And so come in here and see what he's actually proposing. You know, take a look at the bills that they're writing. If your candidate is proposing pretended legislation, don't vote for these guys just because they're Republican or Democrat. Get in there and look at the bills that they're proposing. If they're not the kind of candidate that you want, then contact your Republican Party and say, give me a candidate who is going to represent my interests, because this guy is not. And if a lot of citizens start calling their Republican parties demanding that they be provided another candidate, I think the parties are going to start listening, because if the citizens go out there and say, well, I'm just not going to vote because you're not giving me a choice. I'm sure not voting for the Democrat, and I'm not voting for this guy either because he's not working for the people. He's working for special interests to line his own pockets or whatever. So research the candidates. If there's no good candidate on the field, and you see this time and time again, citizens have to start performing the duty. Those of you out there who are capable, that have intellect, that have desire to see reform, run for office. That's what I'm doing. I'm not wealthy. You know, I don't have big backing from this, but I'm committed to seeing our proper form of government. And I think I can best accomplish that as a candidate for office, and even more if I'm actually in office. I can accomplish a lot if I'm governor to restore the government that's out there. The citizens need to start stepping up. And we've got smart people in business. We've got smart people that are business owners. We've got smart people that are employees. So you can take a leave of absence from work, and the compensation that you would make as a representative or a senator would be sufficient to get you through the time that they're in office. Everybody needs to start thinking about this. Do not just accept what the parties are throwing at you. Run for office, encourage people that you know. This is our civic duty. If we do not start performing civic duty and stepping up and running for office, we're just going to get the same garbage candidates that are out there, who are out there not to represent the people, but they're out there to represent their own interests. So we've got to step up and start giving the people, if we have to run ourselves, which I'm doing, you know, I'm not asking anybody to do anything I'm not willing to do. You know, I could end up losing my job, which I don't want to. I could end up losing my job if I'm elected. We need to start overseeing government. And I did my last live stream. I hope you guys will go back and look at it. I gave a class on how to go through and look at all the legislation, how to get in there. You guys have seen me testify against fake, pretended, corrupt legislation. You've seen me go in there and testify at sunset hearings for the corrupt Board of Judicial Conduct. You guys can do that too. There's nothing special about me. Every one of you out there, you have an interest. whether it's like looking at Hales, just glance at it. He's doing something about driver's licenses. He's doing something about child abuse. Every one of you guys out there watching this, you have an interest. It might be healthcare, it might be education, it might be criminal statutes where they keep just increasing the sentencing guidelines to keep people in prison longer, to increase the revenue to our private prison system. So every one of you has an interest out there. Go in there and look. I gave you a class on how to go look at legislation by topic. Go in there and look at whatever is education, if that's your interest. Go in there and look at healthcare, if that's your interest, or banking, or insurance, or anything, any of the subject lines that's out there, and get in there and testify. And again, you know, if you don't have a candidate, you know, that you think is fit for office, step up and run for office. Anybody out there who is committed to restoring the proper form of government, I'll teach you everything that I know. And I reach a lot of people in Tennessee, 1.2 million people at my peak. And I do it for pennies on the dollar compared to what these other guys do, because I do my own advertising. I don't pay anybody to do advertising. And I pay, you know, 1 or 2 cents typically per engagement when I advertise. Currently, advertising is shut down by Facebook, but I'm sure they'll lift the advertising, you know, at some point soon, because that's their revenue stream. So I'm just going to recap real quick here. There's no knight in shining armor that's going to come save this republic. You know, everybody thought, oh, Trump, make America great again, drain the swamp. If we want to make America great again, if we want to drain the swamp, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And if you're not willing to step up and perform your civic duty, it ain't going to happen. And if you're not getting up and performing your civic duty, you can expect more of the same, and you have no one to blame but yourself, because you're not doing your civic duty. And to recap on what that civic duty is, it's not just voting. Get out there and research the candidates. If the candidates are, if you look at the incumbents and the legislation that they have proposed, and it's all garbage, pretended legislation that has no interest for you and is actually against your principles and your conscience, call the party and say, get me a candidate that's fit for office. Number one, read the Tennessee Constitution, learn it, understand it, teach it to your children. The school system is not teaching the Tennessee Constitution. Our law schools are not teaching the Tennessee Constitution. And because nobody knows the Tennessee Constitution, our General Assembly has unlawfully altered our form of government, placing judges in prohibited offices. And those prohibited offices are used to protect corruption. And it's allowed to happen because none of you have had the knowledge. You have been oppressed. I have a book. This is a 1929 5th to 7th grade level Tennessee history book. It was sent to me as a gift from somebody that supports my work, and I'm so grateful that they sent this to me. They used to teach the Tennessee Constitution 5th grade to 7th grade level. They taught the Tennessee Constitution, and it was included as an appendix. The actual Tennessee Constitution was included as an appendix to the book. They don't teach this anymore. They don't want you to know the knowledge. They don't want you to know what the form of government is. They don't want you to know what your rights are and how we can control government and take back Tennessee. So read, learn, and teach the Constitution to your children. Research your candidates. Don't vote party lines. If your party is putting up a garbage candidate, you know, like we see with Haggerty and Blackburn, demand the party provides you a proper candidate. If they won't, we need to start encouraging the strong intellectuals among us to start running for office or do it ourselves. And I'm giving you a perfect example of how to do that. We need to start overseeing government. You need to read the bills, find your area of interest, testify for or against those bills in the General Assembly. You need to start, if you have discussed and you know that something is absolutely wrong with existing legislation, we need to start remonstrating and demanding that that right be restored in the Tennessee General Assembly and in every branch of government. They need to start hearing remonstrances again. It is fundamental. 1876, United States v. Cruikshank, 100 years after we declared independence, the Supreme Court of the United States said that the right to petition for redress of grievance is fundamental to our form of government. People having a voice in government is fundamental to our form of government. And we are so oppressed that we don't even know what this right is or how to exercise it until I exercised it for the first time since the year 1850. We've got to get this right back. We have got to demand reform of our government to restore the form of government established in our Tennessee Constitution. You can do things like get out there and court watch. If we are not involving ourselves as citizens, if we are not performing our civic duty, it is our failure. There is no knight in shining armor. It was not Trump. It is not going to be me. It is not going to be any single person. It is the people and only the people that have the power to defend the Constitution. So I'm calling on my fellow citizens, start performing your duties that I've laid out here for you tonight. And I'm sure that there are many more. Thank you guys for watching and taking time with me tonight. I see a few people shared this. I'm going to delete this video after I make a copy of it, and I'm going to repost it without the half-hour pre-launch of tonight's town hall meeting. And if you guys, I'm going to try to do this every Friday night. I may switch it over to Wednesday nights, but I want you guys, come with questions, come at me, ask me anything that you want. I encourage debate. If anybody wants to jump on here with me, let me know, and I'll send you a link, and you can jump on the Zoom with me, and you can debate with me or have a discussion with me. I challenge any judge, any legislator, any government official to come on here and have a conversation with me, or I invite them to come on and have a conversation with me if they want to learn about how to restore our republic. So thank you so much. My name is John Gentry. I'm a candidate for governor for the state of Tennessee. I'm working very hard to restore power inherent in the people, to restore the proper form of government in this state. And I know in my heart that when accountability of government officials is restored by restoring the right of remonstrance, that everything is going to get fixed in this republic, and that the intent of the founders will be restored. So thank you so much for your time. God bless, Godspeed to us all, and in God we trust. Y'all have a good night and have a good weekend. Bye.